This week's channel message from the angels is definitely connected to last week's message, which was about how we are moving into a space of unity when we go into our contemplative state, how we're used to going into that contemplative state and being alone, and how we're trying to get to a state when we go there, we are actually connecting to everyone else who is ready, who is in that state of readiness. So it's a massive shift for the collective. And this week's message is related to that, helping us to understand, and they've really been giving us the play-by-play, understanding where we are in this ascension, what we need to be doing, and what the energies are around us so that we can be working with them in a really conscious way. And I've called this video the time to harvest, because it's about harvesting the truth of who we are, of everything that we have gleaned from all of the lives, all of the experiences that we've ever had. So welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel, and that means I go into a deep meditative state or a trance-like state, and I raise my awareness up as high as I can go, a little higher. I connect at the angelic realm, and then their messages and their healing comes through. And I share that here with you on YouTube. And they have been, the angels have been very active, guiding us through this ascension process. We are in it. It is happening. And this period that we are in right now is a very active one for what we are doing. For those of you who are willing and able and are here to help in this process, to help yourself and to help each other, to help the collective. And it's super important that we do this work, because they're telling us that we are the ones who are going to set and define what the human consciousness can become, right? We are the ones who are creating the compass for what that's going to be. So, and the more aware we are of the process, the better able we will be to work with these energies and get the most out of this opportunity that we possibly can. So anyways, it's a beautiful message. The template, or the format I've been using, I will share the whole message with you first, and then I will go back at the end and break it apart paragraph by paragraph, and help us to see how this one is related to last week's message, and really break it down so we can understand all of it. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoy the message. All right, you guys ready? Let's dig into the message. So they say, we bring you counsel. Under cover of this alignment that you are going through, the very fabric of your being is changing. The sensation of what you are and of your knowing, how you counsel with us, what you draw into the frame of this now occurrence, this life forming. It is all subject to reorientation. You are reforming. The very essence of your being becomes aligned more fully. You bring through and are carrying more light than before. The truth of what you are now is a conglomeration of that which you have expected, that which you are entrusted with, that which you are reflecting, and then the northern province of your own becoming. All of these are intermixed. You take on presence as you are forming, and these vary in their performance, which one leads and which one tarries. You are finding, as this culminates in this now experience, that times are shifting around yourselves, that the all is in abundant times of expression of what is. The all is singing a resounding chorus. Each has their own note to bring. There's variation in the tenor of each voice, a variance in what you're expecting, and all things are emitting loudly for your attention. All things are rising together with us. There is an attenuation which must occur as we are nearing the umbrella effect of this opening, when all things are incorporated as one. All are encountered as they are, self-same, but the difference among yourselves becomes clearer, and all things shake and are renewed. This time is coming. We wish for yourselves the understanding as you harvest for yourselves the knowledge of you. You are a conglomeration of many things. And to separate out within your own skin what you would leave behind, what you would carry. There is within the selves still the dichotomy of many minds of who you are and have been, and these expressions of selves grow with interest. We ask for you now to do your part in unearthing these many selves, to do your listening, to take your own counsel and be wary not of what you are feeling, to be freed from the self for the self. This you are nearing, but it takes the time, the forbearance to move through this beckoning of what you are. We ask you now to delve, to go deeper, to move to the interior of yourself as things are rising, to let these form within the self, to be found, be expressed. It is happening now as you are rising. The culmination time is nearing when you're bringing down the fuller now, the empowered self. The inkling of this and its requirements on yourself are heavy. The feeling of self now embattled with your own higher brethren, it weighs heavy, this frequency. You can support it. You are rising. Why do we say that the frequency of light carries weight? Why should it not be lighter still? Because in the pressure of this attenuation, you become aware of the difference between yourselves now and what you are becoming. It feels upon your soul like pressure, like a harnessing of much energy that transports you higher still and leaves you gasping. And we wish for the self of progress to continue, but slowly, effortful, so that you may benefit fully. We are secreting within ourselves the potentials you're experiencing. We are holding form and feather apart from you. Nearby, we are anchored lovingly into this generative fluid of experience that mirrors your longings. We are nearby. We are listening to you. We are iterating softly your praiseworthy subjects, helping you, nearing you to that dormancy which would emit within you the causal factor of your own surmising. We would ask you now to bring within you the light we carry, to let this herald our name, to be with, in this beginning, our conscious awareness, to let us move through you, to let us align you with ourselves, to be more fluid, more complete, to be more effortful in your rising, to work through your own becoming, to sense within yourself what must be let go of, what can be lifted. There's still much efforting to be done. There is no force such as this upon your consciousness, the effortful forming of your newest incarnation. It is the next becoming, the next up-leveling. Your own suggestion of refocus does rise into the compass of where you are heading. We bring with you with you and into our light as a beacon to grow you further, to lighten what is heavy, to draw you into the furor of the winds that are coming, to let you fly free among them, lighter than a breeze, light like an angel, to be with us, to be separated from what lingering consciousness that you would let go of. What would you depart from? Let these go at once. Call them no more hither. Let us be within. Enjoy with us. We rise together. We draw you nearer to us, and you will begin your refocus. Climbing, effortful now, your awareness drawn together tightly into the compass of your own rising to see what must fall forward and what falls away. All right. So a lot in this message, you guys. And I'm super excited to break it down with you because there is good stuff in here. You're saying, wow, this is amazing. So many new words of the day. There really is. And hey there, Edie, great to see you. So glad you could make it today. So great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. You're saying, wow, I know. It's intense stuff. And it is, when we break this down, you'll see this is, you're saying, sheesh. I know, right? They do not pull punches. And Brandy's saying, wow, I know. So yeah, I'm super glad you guys are here with me holding this energy because it is a lot. It's a lot for all of us. So this, if you remember, like I said, last week's message was all about this idea of that we are moving into this new stage of becoming where we are going into, they want us to go into the contemplative state, to think about who we are. It's like bringing up our awareness. And that as we get to that contemplative state, they want us to start to to eventually we're going to get to a place where in that state we are connected to everyone, or to everyone who is ready to be in that with us in that same frequency. So we're going away from the aloneness into this group vibration, but that is a process that we have to get there. So how do we get there? And they talked about wanting us to go into that state before. So here they're getting, again, more specific, helping us. All right. So let's go ahead and break it down and talk through how these are related and where they're telling us to go, what they're asking us to do. You're saying, you're asking, can you feel them? You bet. You're also saying, I feel like I am starting to feel that light they are talking about while Anna's reading. That is a first today. Awesome. That is so cool that you are. The frequencies are coming off, like as we're sharing the message, you guys, they are with us. So there's frequencies in the message. So it's wonderful if you just open up to those and just let them move through you, because it's healing. It's a phenomenal thing for our awareness. It's really cool that you're feeling it. All right. So the first paragraph, they say, we bring you counsel. So they're telling us right up front, this is what this is about. They're trying to guide us, help us through our ascension, through what we are currently right now experiencing. They say, under cover of this alignment that you are going through. So this is alignment with our higher selves as we are moving into our ascension. They say the very fabric of your being is changing. So this is not a small change. This is like a total makeover of what we are like. Our energetic structure is changing. The sensation of what you are and of your knowing, right? So this is how we feel ourselves, how we know ourselves. They say how you counsel with us. So the way that we connect to our guides and to our angels, what you draw into the frame of this now occurrence, of this life forming. So it also changes what we are bringing into our experience. This is what they're saying by that. It is all subject to reorientation. You are reforming. The very essence of your being becomes aligned more fully. So that's what we want. That's where we're headed. That's what this ascension is all about. The next paragraph, they say, you bring through and are carrying more light than before. So this is awesome. This is like, that's telling us, great job. You've made progress. We are already holding more light. They say the truth of what you are now is a conglomeration, and a conglomeration means a number of things grouped together. And I like the fact that they chose that word, because a conglomeration does not mean that those things all blend together and become one. It means like you stick a bunch of stuff together in a box, but they stay separate things. So a conglomeration is like, yeah, we've got these 4 different things competing inside of us for expression. So yeah, so it's not a blending where they're all merging together and becoming one lovely fluid. It's like they all have to take turns. So it's a great choice of word. And so they say, okay, the truth of what you are now is a conglomeration of, and there's 4 things. They say, number 1, that which you have expected. So this is our expectations that we've had in the past that now form our reality that we're currently experiencing. So we are currently living our old expectations, right? So that which you have expected. Then the second thing is that which you are entrusted with. So what we are entrusted with is our karma, our life path, all the things that we planned for ourselves before we got here. So that's what we're entrusted with. So that's the second thing. They say that which you are reflecting. So these are the things that come into our experience that then we reflect and that become part of our experience. So these are the things in the world around us. So this is our sort of environment, that what we're reflecting. And the fourth thing is and they say, and the northern province of your own becoming. So that by the northern, it's like our true north. What are we moving into? Our own becoming. So this is this is what we're trying to move to, is the northern province of our own becoming. So that's the piece we want to have the most of, right? If we have these 4 things competing, the thing we want the most of is our own becoming. So they say all of these are intermixed. You take on presence as you are forming. So you take on, as you are forming in each moment, every second that goes by, you are forming and you are taking on this physical body. So you are taking on presence in every moment. They say, and these vary in their performance. So every moment, these 4 elements inside of you are competing for who is going to take control of the instant. Which aspect of you, which of these 4 aspects, your karma, your previous expectations, your interaction with so you could be driving along and you could be living in your own becoming and being your higher self, and then someone comes up and honks at you, and then all of a sudden you're reacting to your environment, and that other one is starting to come forward. So in every moment, these 4 are intermixed, right? You are taking on presence as you are forming, and these vary in their performance. Which one leads and which one tarries? So tarries is like which one falls behind. So which one becomes of the four, which one steps forward? So they're saying we've got a lot going on inside of us, and they are not harmonious. These four different elements are not harmonious. So really important thing to understand about our inner landscape at the moment, and why you might feel like sometimes you are just like super aligned, super connected in the flow, and then like a half hour later, you're not, right? So this kind of explains it. And you're saying, I feel this for sure, holding more light than ever. Phenomenal. Me too, right? I think I see it. I see it among, I do see it for sure among our community and people that I know. I love it. You say, I love the idea of conglomeration. Yeah. And that is totally what we are experiencing. You're saying northern province of our own becoming is so beautiful. I love how they say things, don't you? I mean, I love the poetry of it. And Brandy is saying, this has definitely been some crunchy time for me lately, a lot of moving through stuff, but I perceive the light at the end of this overly lengthy tunnel. You know, I'm so glad you say that, Brandy, because that is exactly what they're talking about right here. They go into it. So that's perfect timing, your thought. But yeah, it is a super crunchy time right now for most of us. So let's get into it, because that's what they explain. All right. So the next paragraph, this is an important one for us to understand in terms of related to last week's message, where they're talking about we're trying to move into this oneness, so that when we go into our contemplative state, when we're reflecting and thinking about ourselves and our experience, that what we're experiencing is not just our own consciousness, but the consciousness of everyone who's ready to share in that space with us. That's what we're heading towards. That's the beginnings of our telepathic experience of oneness, right? They're saying, but before we can get there, they're saying right now, everything is super loud. And this gets to the crunchy time that we're going through. Like right now, everybody is just being ground up, and we're trying to sift through all this chaos, these four different aspects of ourselves. It makes for an extremely loud environment. And that's what this paragraph is about. They say, you are finding, as this culminates in this now experience, that times are shifting around yourself, that the all, like everything, that the all is in abundant times of expression of what is. They're saying that everything is expressing its heart out right now. Like everything is like feeling itself as much as it possibly can. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're all having heightened experience, heightened emotion, heightened weather, heightened everything, right? Heightened politics. There's just everything is very loud right now. So it's an abundant time of expression of what is. So what am I? What is the weather? What is politics? What is everything? What is it? And it's expressing itself as loudly as it can. They say the all is singing a resounding chorus. Each has their own note to bring. There's variation in the tenor of each voice, a variation in what you're expecting. And all things are emitting loudly for your attention. All things are rising together with us. They're saying that everything right now, like we are in this period, as much as we are feeling that it's crunchy, this energy of constriction and heightened experience and things being chaotic is happening for everything and everyone. And they're saying some of those notes that people are singing are things that we're not expecting, which then creates an additional layer of like, you have to pay attention to things when they arrive and you're not expecting them, right? It's a surprise. It has a surprise element. So it throws you off your game. It throws you out of your patterns and your habits, and you have to pay attention because it's not what you expected. So it's all of it is a drain on our attention. So there's a sense of being scattered and hard. It's harder to it's feeling out of flow. It feels like things are sometimes jarring and pulling us out of our good vibes. So that basically it's a very loud environment in a lot of ways in terms of the world right now. The world is a loud environment. All right. So then they say that because of this, the next paragraph is telling us that in order to get to that place we're trying to head towards, the place where we are in this, when we go into the contemplative state, that we are able to connect with other people. In order to get there, they're saying that volume, what we're experiencing right now, has to reduce. So here's what they say. They say there is an attenuation which must occur as we are nearing the umbrella effect of this opening, when all are incorporated as one. So an attenuation, word of the day, really good word of the day, means a reduction in force or effect, or a reduction in the amplitude of a signal. I love that. It's a perfect choice because we're talking about energy, right? So it's an intent, like think of the signal of all those different voices that are out there. Like this has to be reduced. It's too loud, they're saying right now. And you're saying, I've literally been experienced. So I was like a little bug right here. I've got plant in here and it's made a little fruit fly thing. I've literally been experiencing these interchangeably and wondering which one is the most divine, the most true me. Oh, that's so interesting. About the 4, that is super interesting. Wow, I love that, because hopefully this will help with in terms of awareness and trying to identify as you're experiencing these different ways of being. And you're saying, and we have to take notice of the bum notes. Yeah, exactly. They draw our focus. They draw it when things come out wrong. All of a sudden it jars. You're like, what was that? Yeah. So all those things drain on our attention. So there is then attenuation, which is that we have to lower the volume, which must occur as we are nearing the umbrella effect of this opening, when all are incorporated as one. So this is this incorporating into the collective where we connect with each other at this deeper level. And then they say, all are encountered as they are, self-same, but the difference among yourselves becomes clearer. And this is interesting because they referenced this in last week's message. They said, and let's go back to this. So there's 2 paragraphs from last week that I want to share again to help us understand better what they're talking about here. So one of the paragraphs, I'll read the part where they talked about last week about how we're going to connect in terms of when we go into that contemplative state, how we're going to connect to the collective differently. They said, this is from last week, they said, we are nearing a time in future states of awareness as you elevate the selves in which your access to the selves draws near to others' awareness. So when you access yourself, you're connecting with other people too, people who are ready. That when you harness your own nature, when you draw into this awareness, you are accessing the readiness of all who are near. So that's the key thing, is that for anyone else who's ready, you connect into their knowledge as well. Huge idea. They also said you are drawing this up and into presence so that as you breathe, you feel the peace and surrender of being surrounded by nature, oneness, union. So that is what we're trying to get to in this stage of this is like a big accomplishment for humanity, if we can get to this state of being. So that's what we're trying to feel, is that when we go into that place of contemplation to feel ourselves, we tap into a oneness, which is the readiness of anybody else who's around us. And in that place, we feel the peace and surrender of being surrounded by nature, oneness, and union. So that is our goal. Then they also say here that they say all are encountered as they are, self-same, but the difference among yourselves becomes clearer. So this is the right now. So we're trying to get there, but here they're saying we're trying to feel this contrast. And this is what they said about that last week. This is why I said these are really related, these 2 messages. Last week, they said the nearness. So the nearness of this moving into this new state of being creates pressure upon the egoic structure, the self of separateness, the desire for release from oneness. So they're saying that inside of us, there's a part of us, like in that force, those 4 energies that are in there, there's a part of us that is not comfortable with letting go of our individuality, that is fighting the process of letting in this higher aspect of ourselves, right? And that they call that the egoic structure, the identity. And the identity, the ego has been very, very helpful to us in terms of understanding ourselves, but the ego isn't super crazy about, maybe suspicious about this idea of oneness. So they're saying that it creates pressure within you. The desire, there is a desire on the part of the ego for release from the oneness that feels like, ooh, it's scary. The contemplative self understands what is nearness, what is the self in contrast, right? So, and wishes to offer this an understanding, a perspective. So through this process, what we're trying to get to is really understanding, like using the ego to understand what we are and to understand ourselves in contrast to others. So they're saying in this week's message here, they say, all things are encountered as they are, self-same, but the difference amongst yourselves becomes clearer. And all things shake and are renewed. This time is coming. So the process we're going through right now is this super crunchy time of contrast where the ego is fighting against the desire to connect and become one. So that creates pressure inside of ourselves. So we're feeling this, it's like wanting to become one and then fighting becoming one. And this is, and through this process, we are finding the contrast that we're looking for of who am I compared to everyone else, trying to understand, we're trying to unearth as much about ourselves as we possibly can to collect and have that knowledge so that we can then share it with the collective. So this is the process that we're going through. It is the process of like the last dredges of our karma as we're moving through it, where they're trying to just squeeze every little bit out of the bottom of that tube of toothpaste to get every little morsel out of us so that we can learn as much as we can, so that we then have that knowledge to share with everyone. But interesting here, you guys probably noticed, they said the difference among yourselves become clear, which is okay. This is, we're really starting to see our contrast. Then they say, and all things shake and are renewed. Yes, I did pause on that word. Like, okay, they just hint here, all things shake and are renewed. This time is coming. So, of course, that brings me back to old messages that we got about Earth Rift, about Earth changing, Earth movement. They don't say anything else about it. I don't think they want us to focus on it. I think they want us to, they're saying here, like I would read this and say, could there be a lot of Earth movement in the near future? This could be metaphorical. All things shake and are renewed. Could it be metaphorical, or could it be like, okay, we're going to be looking at some earth shifting coming up in the near future to help us with this process? Because this is not just a human thing. This is the energy of the planet. All things are going through this process. So it is likely that could be. So it can also be a metaphor. I just want to bring it to your attention because it certainly jumped out at me. And I think this is one of those things where they're mentioning it. They don't want us to focus on it because they don't want us to immediately step into that. Oh my gosh, am I prepared? Do I have what I need? All that kind of stuff. They want us to be focused on our experience, focused on our inner journey, because that's where the action is right now. But they are telling us, okay, this, we are already being shaken up. There's already a lot of shaking going on internally, and they want us to be present to that. They say this time is coming, what they're describing in terms of these changes that we're going through. All right. Let's see. Okay, so the next paragraph, they say, we wish for yourselves the understanding as you harvest for yourselves the knowledge of you. You are a conglomeration of many things. So, and I love this, that they call it out right there, as you harvest for yourselves the knowledge of you. And I love this as a frame of understanding of what we have been doing, is we are right now in the process of going back through all our past lives, all the many selves that we've been, all the different layers of ourselves. And we are trying to harvest from all of that, everything that can be gleaned about the spark of divine that we carry. And so that's why things are, why are things so crunchy? That is why and so there's that squeezing as we're trying to get out every little bit, right? To try to harvest for ourselves. And it's a wonderful metaphor to understand. Like, what are we doing? We are going through the harvest time so that we can move on from the karmic state and move into this new state of being. And they say you are a conglomeration of many things. And to separate out within your own skin what you would leave behind and what you would carry. So we're trying to, through this process for ourselves, and it's going to be guided by us. And they mention that here. And it's super important to know this. We are defining what our collective consciousness will become. Like, it's going to be us who do the choosing. And this is the choosing time. Like, we are a conglomeration of many things. What are we going to leave behind and what are we going to carry forward? So what parts of ourselves can we grow enough to see clearly so that we can discard them, so that we can harvest the knowledge, leave behind the junk, and only keep that north place of growth that we're trying to head into. And you're saying, let's see, Carl Jung would love this, the concept of the collective unconscious. Yeah, you're right. All that we have been now in line and in harmony. Yes, this is why I think psychotherapy complements all that you bring forward here, harvesting all knowledge of self. Yeah, I could totally see that, because that is what we're trying to do. We're really trying to understand ourselves. And there's huge value in that to the collective, to all of humanity. So then they go on to say, there is within the selves still the dichotomy of many minds of who you are and have been. And these expressions of selves grow with interest. So what they mean there is that, we are, as a human soul, we are made up of, and we have within us rattling around all those many selves you have been. When I do healing sessions with people, I look in and I see those different aspects of who they are as an active participant in their reality, affecting what they're doing right now. Like, they could be trying to go one way, and then they have this other self that's like, but wait, I want to go this way. Like, why can't I make any progress? Because this guy is going this other way. And it's very alive. It's very real. And these other selves have to be listened to, right? They have to be harvested. Their knowledge, their experience has to be incorporated into the collective understanding. And then they say, and these expressions of selves grow with interest. So as you call them forward, they take on, they're able to express and become loud, which is why things are getting so loud. They grow with interest. So this is kind of an explanation of why they're saying this is a super loud time, because we're trying to pull up all this stuff to harvest it. And as we pull it up, it gets louder. And we have to do that in order to be able to glean what our new understanding is from it. You're saying, for a quick shift, I will imagine that others can hear my thoughts, attenuates my judgment of others. Oh, yeah. And yields more space of compassion and understanding rather than feelings of agitation. Oh, that's a really interesting idea. So that to check the habit of being critical or thinking negative thoughts about others, to imagine that your thoughts can be heard. That is an interesting, it makes you very aware, right? When you're thinking unkind thoughts or thinking things that are not from your highest and best. I think that's super smart. And you're saying the nail on the head for me. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Next paragraph. They say, we ask for you now to do your part in unearthing these many selves. So they're really calling us to say, this is the work to be done right now in this loud time. They want us to be doing this work. They say, do your listening. Take your own counsel and be wary not of what you are feeling. So don't be afraid to feel your feelings. Like, feeling our feelings, if you have done a lot of healing, then you will have felt this. But if there's any of you that are still getting started on this progress, on this path, and just getting started with your healing, or if you're discovering that there are parts of yourself still that are so hurt, that are so deep, that you still feel the resistance to bringing them forward, that our feelings, it is scary at times, because feelings give us the impression that they will last forever. Feelings are potent and they take over the now, and you feel like when you're in them that they are forever. And so when you're bringing up a negative feeling, especially a really, really hard feeling, for some of our deepest trauma, we can be afraid of it because we feel like it's going to take over and we'll never come back to peace, that we will always be stuck in that horrific sensation. And the thing I would say to help you through that is that if you are willing to just allow it to go deep, to when something comes up, when you feel yourself going, oop, that is hard, I don't want to go there. If you just go for it, if you just allow yourself to dig in and to feel it, to let it get, and literally try to grow it as big as you can, like purposefully try to fill up your whole body with that feeling, it will only last for 90 seconds. And that's an amazing thing. Like, we think those feelings are going to live, they're going to just take over and we'll be sobbing forever. As long as you don't feed it story, as long as you don't keep going through about like this person did this thing and it's their fault and blame me, as long as we don't get into the story, if you just isolate the feeling only, apart from feeling, 90 seconds, and it will literally, you will be feeling it, you'll be crying, you'll be going through it. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, you can't quite hang on to it anymore. And it'll be like, wait, where was that feeling? And it starts to dissipate and it starts to go away. And all of a sudden it's gone. And you can't bring it back if you try. 90 seconds. It's amazing. So don't be afraid to let those feelings really flow. And I've got this heater thing here and it's cooking me. Whew, let me move that out of the way. Sorry. It's hot. All right. So, let's see. I've been practicing forgiving those who hurt my feelings because of their belief systems, and forgiving myself for taking things so personally. It's been helping. That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. Yeah, it can be hard and I think the angels mentioned that in a recent channeling as well, about forgiving those people they're barbed. That was in last week's message. They talked about the barbed response, when people respond to us unkindly, and to try our best to see that, to shine our light and to not let that affect us, to be able to stay in our high vibration, even if we're not received properly. And that's something we are in the process of trying to practice that. It takes practice, because we have to get away from the desire to blend and merge with everybody else. We have to be willing to stay in our own vibration and to relate to people through love alone, and not to relate to them through our wounding. A totally different way of being in the world. And it's a shift, but that's the goal, to relate through love rather than to relate through wounding, which is what we've always done. All right. Okay. They're saying shining our light gives the other person insight if they have been unkind. I have found I think that's beautiful. It really is. And I think that you're right. I think it is the best way to do it. Whether or not they share that with you, they may walk away and then have the insight. So yeah, totally. All right. Okay, so where was I? So we go on. Okay, so we have to be, right now we ask you to do your part in unearthing. So they're asking us to do our healing and to not be afraid of our feelings, to be freed from the self for the self. So we're trying to let go of all that stuff. They say, but it takes the time, the forbearance to move through this beckoning of what you are. We ask you now to delve, to go deeper, right? To move to the interior of yourself as things are rising, to let these form within the self, to be found, be expressed. So yes, it's loud outside and they want us to make it louder. They want you to bring all your junk out at the moment. They now say, it is happening now as you are rising. The culmination time is nearing when you're bringing down the fuller now, the empowered self. The inkling of this and its requirements on yourself are heavy. The feeling of self now embattled with your own higher brethren, it weighs heavy, this frequency. You can support it. You are rising. So they're saying, okay, so this is all going on right now as we're experiencing it. The culmination time is nearing when you're bringing down the fuller now. So we are getting closer and closer to the time when we will be able to bring in more and more of this higher self, of this and this sense of connection that we're talking about, where we're going into our contemplative state and we feel the support of the collective. And they're saying the inkling of this and its requirements on yourself is heavy. And think of that resistance, that the part of the ego that is fighting against the desire for union. There's that, and that creates the heaviness. That's what they were saying in last week's thing, is that these two fighting creates heaviness. And they say, and it is a frequency, right? The frequency of rising is also creating a feeling of heaviness. These things feel hard, right? The feeling of self now embattled with your own higher brethren. So we're fighting off, we're resisting our higher self, and that creates the feeling of heaviness. You can support it. They're saying you are rising. So we're ready for this, even if we feel like fighting it off because we're afraid of it. And afraid of that feeling of unity. The next paragraph, they say, why do we say that the frequency of light carries weight? Why should it not be lighter still? Good question. We think of light as being light, right? The angels are light. When we go up into the light, everything is light. So why, if it's light, why does it feel heavy? Well, and I can absolutely 100% this resonates for me, that the light is heavy, because when I first started trance channeling, it was like putting on a 10,000 pound helmet that would come down to like here. It felt, and originally, I think I told you guys this before, is when they first started trying to contact me, my guides, I was still a healer, but my guides would always come in through my rear chakras. They would come in through the back. And then all of a sudden one day I went to go meditate, and I feel this insane pressure that comes down on my forehead and on my chest, to the point so heavy that I could barely breathe. It was like, and it would just stay, this pressure, just pushing the whole time I was in meditation. I could not figure it out. I thought they were trying to come in, like, because my guides always came in and worked through me. I thought they were trying to come in. And it took me 6 months to finally realize they were trying to pull me up into a higher frequency. That higher frequency, it was like think of it as like G-forces, like you're going up. And think about when astronauts launch up, like their faces stretch, right? It's the pull, the G-forces pull. That, I think, explains the weight a little bit. It's like trying to move into that higher frequency. It feels like weight. It feels heavy. And I think maybe it's the pull of the gravity. Boy, that explains a lot. The pull of the gravity of, and that, yes, that's it. That totally explains it. That as we are trying to, and that explains the battle between our ego and the higher self, is that as we are pulling away from the ego, it's the G-forces of trying to move into our higher expression. The ego creates the heaviness, the pull. It's the pull away is what we're feeling, is the heaviness. Boy, okay, now, see, we talk through things, you guys, and it becomes clearer. Hopefully that was clear for you too, that all of a sudden that was like, ding, I finally got it. But I have felt that. And like I said, in the beginning, when I finally got it and started connecting and started channeling, I would say first 6 months of that, I still felt it took me a long time to get used to the frequency, that it would come down and it would feel like they would connect, they would come down, they would come in, and down to here, it would feel like I had my head at the bottom of a swimming pool with so much pressure. And I'm sure that was the inner me fighting fighting that higher frequency. Yeah, that is super cool. You're saying light work is heavy. Yes, it is. You're saying I have shifted out of dismay about the reactions I receive when I'm asked what the stuff I'm involved with is about, and I'm ridiculed. Now I'm able to observe from a different perspective and simply send them love and on their way. That is perfect, Brandy. That's awesome. It feels a lot better, doesn't it? To just let them be and let them have their because you can't change them, right? All you can do is be the light, and the light is persuasive. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next paragraph, they say, so this one is about squeezing the ego for maximum understanding. This next paragraph, they say, why do we, oh, I just read that one, sorry. Why do we say the frequency of light carries weight? Because in the pressure of this attenuation, which is we have to lower the volume in order for us to get to that space of oneness that we're trying to head to. We're trying to get to a collective space where we can share our contemplative state with our, in terms of being in a space of unity, of oneness, and share that with the collective. That we can't all come in there with our sirens blaring. We can't come in with all our junk. It's too loud. That we have to get to a place where we have gone through that stuff. We've pulled out the knowledge, released the emotion, freed ourselves of that, and then come in with the quiet tone of just that new note of our own becoming. We're trying to get to that space where we are clear, so that, and we have to bring the frequency down. So we're trying to clear all our junk so our volume level comes down, right? As a whole, everything, everyone, we're trying to release so we can bring this attenuation, this lowering of the volume is what we're trying to get to. Okay, so in the pressure, because that attenuation creates pressure, that as we're trying to lower this down, is creating pressure, trying to squeeze all that stuff out. They're saying you become aware of the difference between yourselves now and what you are becoming. That is that pressure. It feels upon your soul like a pressure, like a harnessing of much energy that transports you higher still and leaves you gasping. Very much describes my experience of learning to channel. And we wish for the self of progress to continue, but slowly, effortful, so you may benefit fully. So they're not telling us to hurry through this. They're not saying, hurry up, get it done. They definitely want us to engage and to do the work, but they're saying, don't worry if they want us to get the maximum benefit we can while these energies are on the planet, to get as much as we can out of it for ourselves and for the collective. They go on to say, we are secreting within ourselves the potential you're experiencing. So they are holding inside of themselves the knowledge of where we're going. And they're not showing that to us because they want us to go through this process. They want to help us and guide us through the process to get as much out of this as we can. They're saying, we are holding form and feather apart from you. I love that. So they imagine them holding form and feather. They are angelic presence with their feathers right nearby. And I love this next line. They say, nearby, we are anchored lovingly into this generative fluid of experience that mirrors your longings. This is one of those sentences that says so beautifully how I perceive the angels. They are anchored lovingly into this generative fluid of experience that mirrors your longings. So all around us, this generative fluid is all around us. This is the power of creation, the creative spark, the creative energy that we work with, because we are creative beings. We are that divine force that moves through us. The angels are anchored into that divine force, right? And it mirrors, that divine force mirrors our longings. What is it that we emit? Our soul spark, everything that we are singing out into the world moves through this generative fluid. Generative is like it creates, it generates, right? And the angels are anchored into that, right? Lovingly. And so as we are creating, the angels are helping us as we create. They say, we are nearby, we are listening to you. So they're in that generative fluid, listening to us, listening to what our soul song is asking for, what our longing, longing comes from not just what we consciously long for, but what we subconsciously long for. They say, the angels say, we are iterating softly your praiseworthy subjects, helping you. So they're in there, in our generative fluid. They are, whatever we are asking for, the angels are whispering right alongside it, all of our highest and best. What is the best possible outcome we can ask for, that we can expect given our energy? That is what they are whispering. Along with, as we are out there, we're generating, we're letting it all fly. The angels are just riding across the top, whispering our highest and best, right? Our praiseworthy subjects. I love that. They're iterating softly. Iterating means over and over and over and over again. They're just doing this all the time, over and over and over again. They're softly speaking our highest and best, helping you nearing you, in this last sentence, I had to think this through a while to understand it, nearing you to that dormancy, which would emit within you the causal factor of your own surmising. So they're trying to get us to the place they're trying to get us, helping you, nearing you to that dormancy. The dormancy is like when we are slowed down, right? And this is about the attenuation, this idea of lowering the frequency, getting us down to that place where we can slow down, where we can become, all that craziness in us becomes slowed down, the dormancy, which would emit within you the causal factor of your own surmising. So when we get to that state of being more quieter, then that emits the causing factor, the causal factor, the thing that creates, that causes us, they say, to your own surmising. So to surmise something is like, it's the thing that would cause us to suppose that something is true, to guess. Well, when you're supposing something is true, that means faith. That's what faith, it's another way of saying faith, right? But it is also looking at ourselves and understanding who we are, to our own surmising, like understanding the truth of what we are. So it's faith, but it also in ourselves. So that is what this, it's a beautiful sentence. And when we break it apart, it becomes very clear. So I just love it. I just love the sentence. This idea that they're in there with us, trying, this is how they're helping us, right? By speaking aloud. What is it that we are most praiseworthy about? Our highest and best expression, helping us to bring us to that place of quiet where we can then see ourselves more clearly and have faith in the truth of who we are. Yeah. And then, and you're saying, to be totally grounded is too high for me. I'm not sure. Can you express on that? I'm not sure if I'm understanding what you're saying. And you're saying, oh my gosh, this is what I've been experiencing lately, feeling as if I'm in pressure suit, squeezing and squeezing. Yeah. And you're saying how the mirrored waters reflect back to us. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next paragraph. They say, we would ask you now to bring within you the light we carry, to let this herald our name, to be with, in this beginning, our conscious awareness. So they're going to stay form and feather outside of ourselves, but they're asking us to allow their light and their consciousness to move through us. So they're going to be nearby, but they want their consciousness and their light to move through our bodies. And this takes our permission. And the reason they want to do this, they say, to let us move through you, to let us align you with ourselves to be more fluid, more complete. So they're going to try to help us to get to that north node, to get to that place we're trying to go more easily. They're saying to be more effortful in your rising. And by that effortful, they mean they want us to move through our junk, to clear our junk, to work through your own becoming, to sense within yourself what must be let go of. And I love that they say to sense within yourself what must be let go of, because we are creating what the next iteration of humanity is going to be. It's us that chooses it. It's us, that whatever we are is what it's going to be. And so it's our choice. So they want us to listen to ourselves, to hear who we are, to let go. We have to make the conscious choice to let go of stuff, right? They say to sense within yourself what must be let go of. We have to come to the awareness, and we can't do that without listening. So what can be lifted? There's still much efforting to be done. Next paragraph, they say, there is no force such as this upon your consciousness. It says there's nothing else like this. This force upon your consciousness is one of a kind, right? The effortful forming of your newest incarnation. So this process is unique into itself. We've never been through this before. It is the next beginning, the next up-leveling. Your own suggestion of refocus does rise into the compass of where you are heading. So here they're telling us we are in charge. Our own suggestion of refocus, how we think we should become, they say that rises to become the compass of where we are heading. So we are defining where we're going. So that's why it's so critical that we listen to ourselves and we go through this healing process, because we, however, the highest heights that we get to achieve, our only limitation is ourselves. So how high can we go? How much can we accomplish together? That is the big question. And it's going to be based on how much we're willing to go through, how much we're willing to let go of, how much we're willing to face, right? How deep are we willing to feel? In the next paragraph, they say, we bring with you and into you our light as a beacon to grow you further, to lighten what is heavy, to draw you into the furor of the winds that are coming, right? I love that. To let you fly free among them, lighter than a breeze, light like an angel, to be with us. So they're saying, yeah, this is a crazy time, but lean on them. Like the more that we are willing to move into that, the more, and letting them move through us for healing, letting them, like allowing their consciousness, their light to move through us, to help us lift away the stuff that we're processing and to help bring to our awareness our self-understanding. So they're really asking us, delve deep, work through it, lean on them, ask them. You have to say it out loud, that you have to verbally ask the angels for help. Please help me. Please help me with this healing. I am feeling this right now. Please help me work through this. Please help me understand, right? To say it out loud, to tell them what you're feeling, tell them what you're going through, and ask them for help. And then try to bring up that emotion without story. Feel it as much as you can, fill your body up with it, and then see how long you can hang on to it. And it won't be very long. All right. So they say, to be separated from that lingering consciousness that you would let go of. What would you depart from? Let these go at once. Call them no more hither. So let it go. They're saying, let it go, but with their help. Last paragraph, they say, let us be within. In joy with us, we will rise together. We draw you nearer to us, and you will begin your refocus, climbing, effortful now, your awareness drawn together tightly into the compass of your own rising. Love that, right? They're saying that through our awareness, we draw that awareness, we get as much, we pull as much as we can out of all of our junk, and that they say the awareness drawn together tightly into the compass. So our awareness becomes the compass guiding our movement forward, guiding our ascension. It's the compass of your own rising to see what must fall forward. So what do we take with us and what falls away? Beautiful, just beautiful, you guys. So yeah, it's an intense time. There's no question. And I love how these last two messages work together and how they are giving us a greater and greater perspective of what we are going through and what our role is and what role we can play for the collective. So anyways, I hope you guys take this knowledge, share this knowledge with whoever you know is ready to listen. If you guys work with clients, please use this with your clients. Like the more of us that are aware, the better off we are. It's better off humanity is, right? That we being conscious of what's going on, I think is such a huge help. So anyways, I hope you guys I hope you love the message, and I hope you guys have an amazing holiday season. I'm super excited. It'll be my first, I celebrate Christmas, my first Christmas here in my new place. I have a tree. I have a wreath on the door. It's very exciting. And my family's coming here to celebrate Christmas. So super exciting. So you're saying, today message really explained what I've been going through this past week. Awesome. Thanks. Thank you. You're very welcome. What a timely message. And thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much for being with me. Have a phenomenal weekend. And I will see you guys next Friday live. Lots of love. Bye, you guys.